My name is Claire Maddox, and I was told to apologize. They said it softly, like mercy. Write the letter Claire. Admit you overstepped. The board will reinstate you, and this can all go away. The letter sat in front of me, printed on district stationery, waiting for my signature like a trap disguised as forgiveness. The office smelled of coffee gone cold and fresh paper, a mix that used to mean possibility. Now it smelled like defeat. Across the desk, Vice Principal Martin Hale leaned back in his chair, a man too comfortable with other people's humiliation. "You're talented," he said, his tone almost kind. "Don't throw your career away over pride." Pride. That's what they always called it when a woman refused to bow. I picked up the pen not to sign, but to underline a word on the page. Apology. I pressed so hard the ink bled through. "Does this make it true?" I asked quietly. He blinked. "Excuse me?" "This letter," I said. "If I sign it, does it turn your lie into my truth?" He didn't answer. None of them ever do. So I folded the letter, once slipped it into my bag, and stood. "You'll have my answer," I told him. "But it won't come on paper." When I stepped outside, the wind off the parking lot felt like a dare. Behind me, the school loomed, bricks, windows, whispers. Somewhere inside, my son was sitting in a classroom pretending not to hear what the other kids said about me. I wasn't going to write their apology. I was going to write my own story. By the time I reached home, the sun had already turned the street into a mirror of heat. My apartment sat on the second floor of a tired brick complex behind the grocery store, the kind of place people drive past without looking twice. Inside, everything smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and unresolved tension. Liam's backpack was by the door, open like a wound. His homework was still inside, untouched. I found him on the couch, eyes glued to a video game he wasn't really playing. "They said you're not going back to school?" he asked without turning his head. "Just for a while," I said. "The grown-ups need to fix something first." He paused the game, finally looking at me. "They said you got fired." Children never waste time softening the truth. I sat beside him, brushing a thumb over the fading bruise on his knee from soccer practice. People talk when they don't know what really happened. He nodded slowly, not believing me, but wanting to. I wished I could give him certainty instead of words. After he went to his room, I opened my laptop on the kitchen table. My inbox was a battlefield, messages from colleagues who hoped things work out, a few from parents demanding explanations, one anonymous email that simply said, "You picked the wrong fight." The cursor blinked like a metronome for panic. But panic is only useful if you let it turn into motion. I started sorting the emails, archiving every lie, saving every truth. When my phone rang, I almost ignored it. Julia's name flashed on the screen, the one person I still trusted. "You should lay low," she said without introduction. "Let the union handle it." "They're not handling it," I said. "They're surviving it." Julia sighed. "Claire, they're powerful. If you dig too deep, they'll make sure you don't teach anywhere again. Then I'll just have to dig where they don't expect me to." After we hung up, I stared at the half-empty wine bottle on the counter, but didn't open it. Instead, I opened a blank document, title timeline of events. It wasn't courage, it was exhaustion turned into order. Near midnight, another email arrived. The subject line read, "PTA fund, discrepancies, no sender listed, just one line inside, check the donation reports." I leaned back in my chair, the glow of the screen painting the room blue. It wasn't proof yet, but it was a beginning. Months passed and the storm finally faded. The board closed its reports. The papers stopped calling, and Ridgehaven returned to polite routines. People waved again as if manners could erase memory. I let them. Silence can be a boundary. Liam's laughter filled the apartment again. Art projects, new friends, peace. He said we'd won. Maybe at 11 that's what victory means, simple and unscarred. At night, I sat at the same kitchen table where I once built my case. The unsent apology letter still waited on my laptop. I opened it to the Ridgehaven District Board. I sincerely regret, then deleted every word. In its place, I wrote, "To whoever reads this, I don't regret fighting back. I regret waiting so long to start." I didn't sign it. It wasn't for them. It was for me. The printer clicked once out of habit. I smiled and unplugged it. Some things forget faster than people. Outside, spring air smelled of wet earth and possibility. Somewhere my name still sat on a file marked resolved, but truth is never fully resolved. It just lives on in those who refuse to bury it. My name is Claire Maddox. I never sent their letter. I wrote my own. 2 days later, I went back to the school not as a teacher, but as a trespasser. The custodian hadn't changed the access codes and my badge still worked if I swiped fast. The hallway lights buzzed like nerves under skin. In the office, the old copier hummed steadily. I logged in with my erased employee ID and opened PTA Fund. Fiscal year 2024. Donations, raffles, bake sales, then a hidden line, administrative reimbursement hail. Thousands of dollars, all with matching signatures. I printed 3 pages. The noise felt deafening. When I turned, Rick, the night guard, stood behind me. Claire, forgot some lesson plans, I lied. He frowned, but opened the door anyway. You were one of the good ones, he said. Outside, the cold bit deep. Fear turned into focus. At home, I scanned the pages, saved them as liamscienceproject.pdf, and emailed Julia found something worth losing sleep over. Her reply came fast. If you're right, it's not a scandal. It's a crime. Don't go public yet. Build the case first. Staring at the screen, I felt something shift, steadier than anger, sharper than fear. I wasn't chasing redemption anymore. I was chasing proof. And proof once found burns through lies like sunlight through thin paper. The next few days felt unnaturally still, as if Ridgehaven was holding its breath. I kept homeschooling Liam, pretending my life hadn't been dismantled in public. The grocery clerk smiled too politely. Neighbors waved with hollow sympathy. Gossip moved beneath everything like live current under wet ground. Then Rosa called an old student journalist now with the Ridgehaven Chronicle. Heard Hale's getting promoted, she said. Seems that way. Reward or cover? With him, I said probably both. We met at a cafe that smelled like burnt espresso. I slid her the PTA fund logs. She read silently, jaw tightening. This is bigger than you, she said. You sure I'm not poking the hive? I said. I'm documenting it. That night I made a plan. Martha Keene, the PTA president, was the gatekeeper. So I went where she went: yoga, the farmer's market, her favorite tea shop. At first she ignored me, then mistook endurance for apology. Forgiveness, I learned, costs less than silence. Relieved to move past it, she said after yoga. Relieved, I answered. Over tea, she talked too much about meetings, funds, Hale's quiet promotion. That night I replayed her words, smug and damning, and sent the recording to Julia Stage 2 complete. Lying in bed, I listened to my heartbeat in the walls. They thought I was rebuilding my reputation. I was rebuilding the record, and once it was finished, their silence would turn against them. The email came on a Thursday night. No name, no greeting, just 6 words. He's cleaning his office. Friday night. Martin Hale. I didn't ask who sent it. Truth sometimes comes from cowards. I just knew I couldn't waste it. By Friday evening, the school was nearly empty. Through Hale's office window, we saw his silhouette, broad shoulders, deliberate movements like someone erasing evidence. Rosa and I slipped in through the side door, waiting for the custodian's cart to pass. The hallway smelled of disinfectant and tension. Through the glass, Hale sorted folders and flash drives. I hit record on my phone. Rosa whispered, "What now?" "Let him bury himself," I said. He turned and saw us. He opened the door slowly. "You shouldn't be here, Claire. Neither should you." He tried to sound calm. "You don't understand how this works. People like you always say that before they fall," I said. His eyes flicked to Rosa's recorder. "You're making a mistake." "Then let's make it worth it," he sneered. "You think truth wins?" "Not always," I said, "but sometimes it survives." Rosa caught it all on audio. "Enough." We walked away, leaving him framed in his own doorway shadow, long and guilty. In the car, Rosa's hands trembled. "He'll come after you. I'm counting on it." Back home, I replayed his voice fear under arrogance. The walls were closing in, and for once they weren't mine. I whispered to the dark stage 3. The storm had started. The board hearing took place in the Ridgehaven district office, a squat beige building that smelled of paper and floor wax. Julia met me at the door, navy blazer, sharp. "Stay calm," she said. Inside, folding chairs lined the walls. Reporters scribbled, Rosa among them. Hale sat opposite with his lawyer, tie-crooked confidence dimmed. Martha Keene hid behind sunglasses. The chairwoman read the summary allegations of procedural misconduct involving Vice Principal Martin Hale and my suspension. My name felt heavy in the room. Julia presented the timeline coerced apology, financial discrepancies, Hale's threats measured and relentless. When I spoke, the mic crackled. I was asked to apologize for something I didn't do, I said. Apologies forced by the guilty mean nothing. I handed out the highlighted donation logs. Funds were rerouted from student activities to private accounts by those who demanded my silence. Julia then played the Friday night recording Hale's You Think Truth Wins, and my reply. The room went electric. Martha's sunglasses slipped. Hale's jaw clenched. The chairwoman declared an internal investigation and suspended Hale pending audit. Rosa's pen froze. I breathed. As the session ended, Hale brushed past warning, "You'll regret this." I smiled. I already did. Now it's your turn. News travels fast in small towns, especially when guilt finally has a name. By the next morning, the Chronicle had the headline, "Vice Principal Suspended Pending Fraud Inquiry." The photo beneath it showed Hale leaving the district office face half-turned as if the camera had caught him mid-denial. My phone buzzed non-stop messages from former colleagues, parents, even students. Half of them said, "We always knew something was off." The other half said nothing, as if silence could erase their complicity. Julia called first. "You did it," she said. "We did it," I corrected. "No," she replied. "You're the one who walked into the storm without an umbrella." For a long time, I didn't respond. I just watched Liam eating breakfast, spreading jam over toast with the kind of focus only children have when they're pretending nothing happened. "Does this mean you can teach again?" he asked. "It means they have to admit they were wrong first," I said. He nodded, mouthful, satisfied with that. Children believe in fairness because they haven't yet learned how expensive it is. That afternoon, Rosa came by with a printed copy of her article. Truth in the Classroom: One Teacher's Fight for Integrity. She laughed, embarrassed. They wouldn't let me use revenge, so I went with integrity. Editors hate the word revenge. Too emotional. "Maybe because it's honest," I said. We drank coffee on the porch, watching the neighborhood kids ride their bikes through puddles. For the first time in months, no one avoided my gaze. Later that week, the district sent me a formal letter reinstatement, effective immediately apology pending public statement. I didn't smile. Justice doesn't come with confetti. It comes with paperwork. I framed the letter anyway, not for pride, for evidence. 2 weeks later, Hale resigned for personal reasons. Martha Keene followed, claiming health concerns. No one asked questions. Small towns prefer closure to truth. On the last day of summer, I stood outside the school gates with Liam. The morning light washed everything gold, the flag, the asphalt, even the faded mural of smiling students. "Ready?" I asked. He grinned, running ahead toward the building. I stayed a moment longer, watching the doors close behind him. Somewhere inside, new whispers were already forming, but this time they didn't belong to fear. I took a breath that felt clean. Then I walked away, not to escape, but to start again. Revenge had never been the goal. But the silence that used to haunt me, now it finally sounded like peace.